This has to have been the cheapest guitar that I've ever played that I've actually enjoyed playing. This is a Squier debut. I found out about these, they came around in sort of Aprilish, I think, and they were Amazon exclusive guitars that were built for Amazon and to be distributed by Amazon. Now, the price on these, when I kind of looked at them, I thought that's too cheap to be reasonable. And I thought, will that be playable? And that's kind of the reason that I bought it. I wanted to see, you know, exactly what a guitar like this is like.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
The elephant in the room with this is that, of course, this is crafted in China, and there's no getting around the fact that any guitar like this with, you know, screws, we've got frets, we've got nut, we've got all of the bits and pieces that make a guitar, a real person or some real people are going to have worked on this, and part of the reason that these things are cheap is ethically hard to talk about in a YouTube video, which is supposed to be fun. So that's the elephant in the room with this. Aside from that element of stuff, which of course probably comes with any of the guitars that are built over in that part of the world, then there's the other kind of stuff that we can talk about, which is easier to talk about, like playability and all that sort of stuff. So maybe that's what we're going to focus on today, but in the back of our minds we're probably thinking as well, you know, how are they building a guitar like this for that kind of money, and how are those people being treated and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, before we start crying, so yes, this has a thinner body, or your average Strat, sorry, slightly thinner. The rest of the specs look pretty normal. You know, you've got a bridge that looks a bit blocky versus a normal Strat. You've got 3 pickups. There'll be ceramic on this kind of cheaper guitar. Probably if you plugged them into an amp and turned it up, you'd find they might be microphonic as well. The frets feel pretty good. I found that there's actually some high frets here, and maybe this is one of the things that happens with cheaper guitars, is that out of the box they might be okay, but then they start to sort of develop their own little characters, like frets that decide to no longer be in the fretboard. But the remarkable thing for me is that I've got guitars that would be like 30 times as expensive as this. 30? Yeah, that's right. And that maybe I sound pretty much exactly the same on. And I think that is maybe a bit of the revelation with this stuff. Like, as long as the guitar plays okay, I can make it sound like me, essentially, whatever that sounds like. And it might not be a very good thing, but that kind of just seems to be the case. So the things that I have noticed with the guitar around here, we've got a high fret here, the G, so that could use some attention. Not necessarily the sort of thing that you'd notice though in like the heat of playing. And certainly if you wanted lower action, that would be a real problem. This has kind of got a fairly high action at the moment. It actually, owing, I think, partly down to having a really, for me, kind of Goldilocks comfortable neck shape, it's actually one of the more inspiring experiences, and this has literally just been in the shed for months. And you know, if the gear is what you're looking to for inspiration, I think not only can you find some of that in the expensive gear, right, which is probably ethically a little bit safer as well, right, I guess, presumably, but I think if you are someone who's not got loads of cash and stuff like that, I think what this shows to me is that actually the piece of wood and strings and stuff, yes, it's important, but more important is that you're picking up the guitar and starting to play each day as you can. Find like 3 minutes, find 5 minutes, find 7 minutes to just get something out, and whatever that ends up being. Like, if you give me this guitar for 3 minutes, you know, that's kind of what I came up with that intro in. Like, the guitar part is not necessarily as important as we necessarily make it out to be. So this was a very kind of rudimentary signal chain guitar into this cable, into my Steinberg UR RT4 interface, into Helix Native, my amp in the room preset. So I don't know what you thought about the toning in the intro there. Did you think it sounded cheap? Do you think it looks cheap? It is cheap. Does it sound like me playing it, I guess is the question. And for me, I feel like, even knowing that this is a guitar 30 times cheaper than what I'd often play, it's not like it's wanting me to play the guitar less. And I think that's kind of one of the things. So hopefully, as time goes on, you find something that hooks you into the guitar other than just the gear, so that you can actually just enjoy playing what you've maybe already got, or maybe things that don't have to cost all of the money in the world. So I think beginners, particularly at the moment, are in a really nice spot with guitar gear. Because I think of something like this is perfectly decent for learning on. Something like a PRS Silver Sky SE for the next kind of step above is again perfectly decent. Something like a PRS C24. There's loads of really good choices. I started playing on Ibanez Roadstar 2, which my dad found in like the Yellow Pages back when that was a thing, and I think that was like £50. That was a really, really high quality guitar looking back compared to what you'd get for £50 now. But yeah, I guess, yeah, let me know your thoughts about cheaper guitars that you found inspiration in. I think we look at someone like Eric Gales as well, who for a time was playing some really cheap guitars, still sounding like Eric Gale. Let me know your thoughts.